Hello and welcome back to another episode of a Weekly Waypoint. I just took some paracetamol for my headache and a sugar outer layer rubbed off and that tasted absolutely disgusting. Oh my god. Anyway, enough about me. I'm gonna go quiet for a bit because I want you to hear how well this game's menus sound. This is Rollcage Stage II, and I can't believe I forgot to include it in my initial wave of arcade races, or retro races, that I was showing off a few weeks back along. It has, and this is by far not its best feature, but it has, without a doubt, one of my favourite main menus of any video game ever. It just oozes cool. It's so 90s. I love it so much. Well, it feels more early 2000s, to be honest, which would make sense because it was released in the year 2000. While I'm stating obvious things, this game is a sequel to Rollcage, the original one, and I, for some reason, only found that out the other day. You might think it sounds obvious, the game is called Rollcage Stage II, but I just thought it was called Stage 2 to try and make it sound more realistic, or like it was some sort of in-universe naming thing, like, oh, this is the Stage 2 championship that you're starting in for some reason. I don't know. I always had a really difficult time handling these cars in this game when I was a kid, but as an adult, having played it today, I realised that actually maybe the reason I had such difficulty handling these cars as a kid is because I always wanted to go on the ceilings of tunnels and stuff, whereas now I'm like, oh, if I want to keep a good handling on my car, maybe like stick to the ground as much as possible. In later races I do kind of like go up the walls a bit more to try and grab those speed boosts, but for the most part I play it a bit more sensibly. But this is, I would say, harder to handle than your average racing game. It is a hyperspeed racing game, which I would call a subgenre alongside like Wipeout and stuff, even though Wipeout's more of an anti-gravity racer. I would say hyperspeed racing game could be a subgenre of its own to encompass games like Rollcage and others. Are there any other hyperspeed racing games that aren't anti-gravity racing games? Let me know if you know of any that aren't Grip. I know about Grip. This is Grip, if you don't know, is the spiritual successor to this game, and I didn't get on particularly well with it. I didn't think it was quite as fun, but I don't know, it's been a while since I touched it. Maybe I'm being too harsh. One of the best things about this game is just the atmosphere. It's so dark and grungy, but also like futuristic, and there's some tracks which like, there's one coming up towards the end of a video which is like in kind of like an underground waterway, a bit like that Crash Team Racing course Ruse Tubes, but you know, less cartoony and more dark, grim future. I don't really know if it's grim, but it's just like super high tech, and it just oozes cool. I don't know how else to say it. I don't need to describe the atmosphere this game evokes. You can see it on screen. I'm not writing an article about this. I'm showing you a video of it. Oh, and I normally cut out loading screens in video games when I'm doing the Weekly Waypoint, but I just left these ones in because, you know, more about user interface, more about main menu. Anyway, what have I been playing this week that's new to talk about? I'm gonna try not to talk about 17 different topics like I did in last week's video. After I started to write the description with the timestamps about all the different things that I talked about, it kind of bugged me how many subjects I flitted between. And that wasn't an accident, I kind of did that on purpose. I thought it would be fun. But even though watching the video back I thought it was okay, I don't know, it kind of bugged me that I did that. So I think I'm gonna try and stick to 2 or 3 more larger topics in a video, in a Weekly Waypoint, to talk more about them. That being said, I would consider the what I played this week section to be kind of one large section, even if it has lots of different games in it. This week I continued playing Fall Guys. I've continued being a bean. I actually listened to the soundtrack on the way to work this morning because it's such a good soundtrack, and it was actually nice listening to something cheerful on the way to work because my music tastes typically they're not quite as cheery. I've also been playing a bit more Fortnite. I realised I kind of need to get on with the battle pass because I might not end up unlocking Darth Vader at this rate, who's obviously like the tier 100 dude, which is funny because last season obviously I got the tier 200 unlock barely. But I try not to let video games become a chore, so as much as I really want Darth Vader, I'm not going to force myself to play Fortnite if I'm really not feeling it, you know. But I think I'll get there. I'm still enjoying Fortnite, and something that's going to help with that a lot is this month's Fortnite crew, which I'm still subscribed to because I'm still playing it. Came with the Save the World single player mode / cooperative mode, And me and Reese and Molly played a bunch of that, and I think it's actually pretty damn fun. I'm surprised at how involved it is. It's not just like another game mode that like you can access in like the creator menu that people make and stuff. Obviously, this was like the original game that Epic were making, right? And I guess I shouldn't have been surprised with just how involved it is due to that, but like it's got its own like live servicey elements to it. It's got its own like refreshing shop, and it's actually got loot boxes, which is kind of weird and outdated. But when me and Reese started, we got given a bunch of free shit, and Molly didn't, and we're not sure why. But it's got like collectible, it's almost gacha in how it's got like collectible heroes you can play as, like I forget what they're called, but like champions or whatever who play with you when you're playing solo, I guess, and like schematics for like weapons you can, you know, craft in the you know, fucking game. Running out of words. And most importantly of all, you can get Battle Pass XP for playing it, which I did not actually expect, so that's a nice surprise. There's some iffy stuff with it in co-op, like whenever they do a level which is like your own base that you have to like upgrade a bit more and defend from another few waves of enemies, it seems like you have to do that separately with regards to each player's base, otherwise you can't really progress. So that kind of puts a nail in the coffin of like playing the entire thing in co-op, but besides that, I don't know, it's probably more fun like when you just play a bunch in single player and unlock missions, and when you go back, and I don't know how good the replayability of those missions is going to be, if they still, you know, unlock all the same rewards at the end in terms of XP or not, but from going by the live service elements that I've seen, I would imagine that is how that works. Another game I've been playing, well, I haven't been playing a lot of it yet, but I think a lot of it is on the cards, is House Flipper, which got a surprise release onto Xbox Game Pass, console and PC, which is very lucky because I don't like how it feels on a controller, so in a rare switcheroo, I actually decided to download it on PC after trying it on console instead. I don't really do much with Xbox Game Pass for PC. I always say I should, but I never do. I mean, I really should because I'm paying for Game Pass Ultimate, right? I mean, I'm paying for the All Access thing, I kind of have to pay for Ultimate as part of that, but at least for the next few months I'm paying for Ultimate, so... But yeah, House Flipper is a game I've had on my radar for a very long time. It's the kind of game where I have... if I had this on Steam, I would have sorted it into a folder which I call meditative games, which are games which are kind of dull on their own, but when coupled with like a podcast, I can just like chill. I just go into like a zen state when playing it. This is absolutely one of those types of games. I think it doesn't help that it starts with a few very minor jobs that only take you a couple of minutes, but last night I got stuck into a job where I went to someone's house and it was an absolute fucking tip, and I spent ages cleaning up that place, and by the end of it, it looked like a completely different house, and I spent so long renovating it, well, not renovating I guess, but cleaning it up and stuff, that like the sunset, I don't know how long the day-night cycle is in that game, but I was in there for a fair amount of time. I would hazard a guess at 20 to 30 minutes, and the sun set on me and surprised me by like, I was like, oh, I need to go and turn the light on, and it wasn't because I was like, oh, you know, the sun's setting in the game, I need to go press the button to turn the light on. It was like I was immersed. I was like, oh, it's getting late, I need to turn the light on, and I loved it so much. At the minute, I am in the middle of flipping my first house, except it's not really a house, it's more of a bungalow, but I basically went in, cleaned it up, sold everything because that furniture, you can't get some of those stains out, and I'm just gonna, I think some point later today, start refitting it with new furniture and putting new wallpaper up and stuff like that. And I think I got Reese into this game too because he messaged me at like 7 in the morning showing me one of his very lovely houses that he had redecorated and everything. I was like, oh damn, I would totally live there. And we were just talking about home decoration for a while. It was really interesting. I've also been playing a bit more World of Warcraft this week. That's right, I teased it last week. I teased a game I was going to play in my own free time. But no, I said I kind of felt the itch to go back and play some more. Turns out my guild have moved realms, which might sound like bad news to anyone else, but to me that's fantastic news, because you know what that means? More excuses to make more alternate characters. One of my favourite things to do in that game is level alternate characters, and so I have created a Windwalker monk, because I've still never leveled a Windwalker monk up to max level, and I have called him Baelmar. I think, or is it Baeldar? I think it's Baelmar. Yeah, it's Mar, because I remember Mar means like place, when I realized like, oh, there's places like Anvilmar and stuff, so I think in Dwarven Mar means place. I was like, oh shit, I've named my dwarf like he's a house. Fuck. But that's not all. I ended up pre-ordering Dragonflight because, of course, I'm going to play Dragonflight. Don't pre-order Dragonflight if you're not happy with WoW. I typically enjoy every expansion no matter how shit it is. But there you go, there's your disclaimers. But before I knew my guild had moved realms, I don't know if that would have changed my my decision on this or not. I decided to, when they made Dark Rangers playable, I made my Dark Ranger, she's a Night Elf, and I called her something. What did I call her? I called her Ephemeros, which means for just one day. And, you know, I think that's fitting for a Dark Ranger. So I boosted her because I was like, I mean, I need to get a hunter to level 60 so that I can go and unlock the Dark Ranger transmog, which is kind of a pain. But also I've never had a marksmanship hunter at max. I mean, obviously you can just swap specs, but I like to have a spec-specific character, as I've mentioned many times before. And I just haven't gotten into a hunter for a while, for a few expansions now, so I decided to boost her up to level 60. And wow, the gear they give you as a freshly boosted level 60 character is not good enough to do the quests to unlock Dark Rangers, let me tell you that much. I need to gear her up before I can unlock her transmog, that's really annoying. I can't even raid Castle Nafria, not by a decent shot. But yeah, I kind of got promptly distracted from gearing her up because that's when I learned my guild had moved realms. And it's not that big of a deal anyway, because we kind of just moved to a battle.net like community group thingy, which transcends realms anyway, which I feel like is how guilds should be, but that's just me, that's just my 2 cents. Maybe when they inevitably add cross-faction guilds, they will just go the full, you know, the full way and do it that way anyway. I'm considering dipping my toe back into Burning Crusade Classic as well, because Wrath of the Lich King Classic is Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming up, and I kind of like, part of me is like, ooh, exciting, and then the other part of me is like, I got to like level 24 or something on Burning Crusade, like I should probably play through that before I move over to Wrath of the Lich King, right? In other news, I think I've mentioned on the Weekly Waypoint before that it feels like I don't watch a lot of shows, but all of the shows that I like seem to be coming out at once. And The Umbrella Academy took me by surprise by releasing Season 3 this week. And I'm not going to talk too much about it, partially because I'm not done with it and partially to avoid spoilers. I don't really know how to talk about it without talking about spoilers, to be honest. But man, I love that show so much. Let me just take this opportunity to say that I really fucking like The Umbrella Academy, and it's interesting because like it's a similar premise to The Boys, like it's you know, enacted completely differently and goes in completely different directions, but you know, the premise of like superheroes but it's a slightly darker world and everything, you know, Invincible does it too. I would say The Umbrella Academy is probably the most unique out of all of those types of programs in just how it does it. You could argue that it's more, and this isn't a spoiler, it's like episode 1 if I remember right. You could argue that it's more of a time travel show, but it's super unique and weird and fun, and I just love all of those characters. I remember at the end of season 2, I was kind of like, wow, that was such a wild journey, I kind of don't want a season 3, but I think you know, the wait between seasons helps with that because I'm just completely invested in season 3. And yeah, it feels like not only are all the shows that I'm interested in coming out at once this year, it feels like they're all really fucking good as well this year. Like I mentioned The Boys earlier, god damn, we are like 7 out of 8 episodes through this season, so we're right near the finale. At least I'm assuming the next episode is the finale, I don't really know. But man, The Boys this season has been so fucking good. There has been so much payoff for so much that has been building up for so long, and I'm gonna be so sad when this season is over. There's also Stranger Things, the last 2 episodes of season 4, which at least for my attention span, I think it was a mistake to release them like a month or 2 later or however long they waited, because I was super in a Stranger Things mood like a week or 2 ago, but now I'm just kind of like, man, I kind of want to finish Umbrella Academy first, and I'm kind of like, it'll get me back in the mood within like the first few minutes, I'm sure, but like I'm kind of not, you know, chomping at the bit to see the final 2 episodes like I was a few weeks ago. But yeah, I put out some sort of tweet like this the other day, but between those shows and Obi-Wan Kenobi and all of the Marvel shows coming out too, I'm actually behind on Ms. Marvel. I've heard it's really good, I'm like 2 episodes in. Yeah, just really good fucking telly on lately. Meanwhile, Paramount Plus wants me to subscribe to its service, and I'm like, bitch, I got enough going on right now. Feels weird to say bitch. I don't know why, it's always felt weird for me to say bitch. Reese says it a lot though. Do I leave that in? Yeah, sure, I'm leaving that in. But there is like an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate perk which gives me 30 days free, so I think when I'm done watching everything I'm currently watching, I will use that to quickly scarf down Halo the show, or Halo the series, or whatever they're calling it. Anyways, my spinning car will no doubt be alerting you. We have approached the end of this week's show, so thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like if you liked the video, maybe leave a comment telling me about what shows you've been watching lately, and, you know, maybe recommend me some stuff. You don't have to though, I'm not your boss, I'm not gonna force you to do that.